Hopefully you can see me and see also my slides. As Catherine said, I'm Dr. Adam Frost. I'm the Programme Director for the Masters in Marketing. So for my part of this morning's talk, I'm really just going to give an overview of the programme in terms of what its main aims are, the kind of structure, what you'd actually be taught, and a little bit about some of the kind of companies you might get to work with, and also at the end I'm going to talk a little bit about what some of our graduates have gone on to do afterwards. The kind of aim of the program really is there's kind of, I guess, two aspects to it. So if you are coming from a background that isn't particularly business focused, or you haven't done any management, any business, any marketing, then you can still do this program. It will kind of equip you with the kind of introduction to business and marketing, and then obviously advance that as you go through the year. If you have done business or you've done aspects of marketing before, it still will be kind of relevant for you, because very soon, that introductory level will be over and you will look at much more specific aspects of it. And when we look in a second at some of the modules you'd cover, some of these are quite new modules, some are quite kind of emerging areas of marketing as well. So there'll be some aspects that you've probably not done before. There's quite a strong focus on kind of the digital marketing, the online marketing, the use of data as well. And we've recently kind of restructured the program with more focus on this. And that's been in response to what our current students want, and also just what some of the businesses that we work with want as well. By doing the program, you will also get some specific kind of skills that you'll use. So, in the digital marketing module, you will look at Google Analytics, and you can then go on and get a separate certificate in how to use Google Analytics. In marketing analytics, which I'm going to talk about in a little while, you use very specific software that will give you a real kind of advantage in the marketplace. So although it's kind of has some introductory elements and it's suitable for people who have done business or haven't, there is some very key modules there that will make you very employable as a marketing kind of expert in the field. So just to show you, these are what you would cover. And I guess this is going to be the main focus of kind of my part of the talk today. In the degree, there are 8 taught modules. I'll talk a little bit, before I go into the kind of specific modules, I'll talk a little bit about the structure. So the degree is cut into 3 semesters. Each semester is roughly around 12 weeks long. So there's a semester from September till Christmas, and that's got 4 taught modules. There's a second semester, which is January till normally just after Easter, and that is another 4 taught modules. And then from around mid-June to mid-September, you would do a individual research project. So there's the 3 semesters. 2 of the semesters have taught modules, and 1 you do a dissertation or an equivalent type of project. In terms of how much time you'll spend on each module, I would say as well, just as kind of just to make it clear, I'm describing the course as it's been run for the last few years. Obviously, with the current situation, we're not entirely sure, how feasible face-to-face teaching is going to be. And when those decisions are made, they will be communicated to you. But this is kind of an idea about kind of, the amount of time for each module you'd have. So per week, at the moment, we teach each of the 4 modules for 3 hours each. So they're generally timetabled at the moment to be 3 hours a day over 4 days a week. So it is a significant time commitment. I do get some questions about if people are working part-time or working full-time. My personal opinion would be that it'd be very difficult to do the course if you're working full-time. And even if you're working part-time, you would need to be flexible enough to be able to attend the classes. So the 4 on the left are taught in one of the semesters, and that's marketing management, strategic marketing, digital marketing, and accounting. So as I said, you generally be taught each of those for 3 hours a week, over 4 days in the normal circumstances. I'll go for each and kind of give you a bit of information on this. There is some more information on the website as well, and obviously if you have any specific questions, type them in the meeting chat and we'll come to them at the end. So marketing management is a fairly introductory kind of module into both marketing and management. It will tell you what marketing is. It will go over some of the kind of key theories, concepts around marketing, And it will look very much at things. If you've done any marketing before, you'll probably be aware of things like the marketing mix, about what actually marketing involves in an organization, in different types of organizations. So it kind of aims to kind of set the scene for the whole degree. So it kind of gives you kind of that introductory level. If you have done the subject before, it very quickly will get to an advanced level as well. The sessions that you do will introduce the topics, but then go into much more kind of specialist areas. But if you haven't done the subject before, that module will get you up to speed with the topic. Strategic marketing looks at marketing in terms of kind of long-term strategic planning in an organization. So let's say you went and worked for a business and they were looking at kind of the long-term decisions that the company needed to make in terms of what new customers they may need to target, what new products might need to be produced. It might be due to bigger issues like climate change, or even issues that we're facing at the moment around kind of COVID-19. So from a strategic level, how can you understand what the market is going to need in the next 12 months, but also in the next 5, 10, 20 years? So this module will equip you with the tools you need as a marketing professional to be able to make those type of decisions. And that and marketing management, the two of those really will give you kind of a strong basis in this topic. A slightly more specific module is digital marketing. Increasingly, it's fairly obvious to say that increasingly companies are having to look at marketing online, digital marketing, social media marketing, marketing through smartphones as well as tablets as well as computers. So this really tells students, how to consider these issues. So it's a combination of the theory around this topic as well as the kind of practical skills needed. So as I mentioned before, you will look at aspects like Google Analytics. So how can you make sure if someone is searching on Google for a product or has a problem that they might come across your company that you're working for? Equally, if you were trying to develop social media kind of communications, if you're trying to do digital marketing as well. So we'll go over all of those different aspects of that. And I think it's a really key module. It gets a lot of positive feedback, and a lot of students are obviously very interested in this topic. The final module in this semester is accounting. The reason we get you to look at accounting is that, especially if you were working in a business, or if you were working if you became a sort of senior marketing individual in a business, it's likely that you'll be working on significant marketing projects. So it's important that, as well as having the kind of marketing knowledge, that you do have some business knowledge as well. And accounting is one of those key areas. So let's say you were a senior marketing professional in a large business. You are likely to have a budget in order to perhaps develop and deliver promotions, so advertising promotions, and you'd be expected to meet that project's objectives to a certain budget, and you'd be likely to have, to actually have to do accounting in some form. So the module is an introduction to accounting. So if you have not done any accounting, if you're not particularly keen on numbers, it's a very introductory level, and there's a strong focus on kind of accounting for projects. So if you have a project, how would you cost it? How would you work out that this is going to be come into budget and things like that? So I think it's a really good kind of key skill. And I think one of the things we want to do with our students is make sure that they have strong marketing, but also business skills as well. So as I said, those 4 modules are taught in one semester. Generally at the moment, they're 3 hours per topic. The semester runs, it's a 12-week semester. Now, you normally have, at the moment, we have teaching for 10 weeks of classes. And then there's 2 weeks which we use for assessments. So if you have a presentation, one of the modules, you can really do that during that assessment period. The other semester has another 4 modules, as you can see on the right-hand side. And these really just build on the 4 that we had in the other semester there. So the first one looks at international marketing. So this specifically looks at what issues a business may face if it is looking to export products abroad, if it's looking to establish production or retail outlets in another country, looks at issues around kind of legal issues to do with international marketing. It looks at cultural issues. So can you use your existing product? Can you just use the same advertising, stick to the same price in different countries, or do you need to adjust your approach to marketing depending on different factors? It takes, it looks at a lot of theory, but there's a lot of kind of practical context there as well. You'll look at various companies, kind of, international marketing efforts. You'll be looking at why one business might have a very different approach in one country compared to another. The next module you'll look at is marketing analytics. This is in terms of the degree, it's a relatively new module. It used to be an optional module actually that students could pick, but we've decided to change it to a compulsory module. And I should say all of these modules are compulsory, so you would have to take all of them. The reason we've changed it to be a compulsory module is it's increasingly obvious that businesses need to be able to understand their customers, and increasingly a key skill in this area is being able to use data effectively. So what marketing analytics will do is allow you as a marketing professional to collect and analyze data on your customers to get a better understanding of what it is they want from their products, a better understanding of other marketing kind of factors. If once again you're not particularly strong, if you're kind of put off by kind of numbers, don't worry. We use some very specific analytic software, and you are taught in practical kind of computer sessions how to use that software. I would say in terms of employability, analytics is one of the key areas, and we're seeing a huge growth in graduates going into that area. So lots of businesses out there understand that, you may have heard of terms like big data, but not many people really understand how you can use that data. How can you design your customer engagement in a way that you collect good data on your customers that you can use in kind of really intelligent ways? So I think this is a really key module in terms of employability in the future. And more companies are wanting people to have this skill. So by doing this module, you get the kind of knowledge, and you also understand how to use very specific software within this area. Another key marketing module within this group is consumer behavior. This one is a real kind of fundamental of marketing. So it's really getting to grips with understanding what it is that consumers want, how you can understand consumers better. So how can you really get to grips with what your customers want? A lot of kind of, key marketing theory within this module. I'll talk a little bit about the assessments afterwards and kind of give you some examples, but this module is really kind of great for kind of getting that key marketing theory. And I think the fact that you've done other modules before this, you should be able to produce a really strong kind of project for this, where you have to demonstrate to a company who their customers are, who potential new customers are as well. The final module that you're doing, this is a module that all the vast majority of management and kind of marketing masters will have, is the research methods and techniques. So this module will teach you how to undertake research. So from a marketing perspective, you may well work after graduating in a company where you're expected to undertake consumer research to understand what consumers want. So you'll be taught techniques like conducting interviews, putting together surveys, it might be focus groups. You'd be taught how to analyze that data and then use that data to make recommendations to a company. So it's kind of a key module for this. It's also a key module to help you prepare for the other semester that I'm going to talk about in a little while, and that semester is your individual kind of research project. So after you've done the taught modules, you'll be doing an individual research project, and this module gives you the skills you need in order to do that. In terms of the taught modules, they're taught by a wide range of people. So obviously, staffing does change year on year slightly, but at the moment, I can tell you that they're taught by obviously academics from the schools. So we've got, some leading professors in areas of marketing who teach some of these modules. We've got people who are from industry backgrounds who are now academics. We have also got at the moment 2 of the modules are taught by marketing professionals. So at the moment, digital marketing and international marketing are taught by external people with who actually currently work within these fields. And I think the students get really benefit from that. So digital marketing, for example, is currently taught by an individual who is an active kind of marketing expert consultant. He works with various companies developing their digital marketing strategies, and he can bring that into his teaching. I think the students also benefit a lot from talking to someone who currently works in this field, gives them a lot of advice in terms of, thinking about what type of jobs they might need. International marketing is taught by, once again, an individual who works in this field, who works with companies developing their exporting strategies, to actually developing international marketing strategies in companies. So it's just at the moment one module per semester, but I think it adds a real kind of benefit to the program. The rest are taught mainly by academics, but key kind of combination of people from very research backgrounds, people from industry backgrounds, and many have a combination of both. They'll have done lots of academic research, but will have worked in companies as well. Other questions I often get asked at kind of when these type of events and when I meet students are about the assessments. I've done a lot of work as program director to kind of try and balance the program quite well with lots of different types of assessments. So in terms of each semester, when you do 4 modules, the vast majority of your work will be individual. You'll generally do just 2 group projects per semester, and both of those will be in different modules. So out of the 4 modules, you'll maybe have 2 assessments per module. It's fairly standard. There might be some differences, but generally it's 2 assessments per module, and 2 of the modules will have 1 group element. So out of 8 assessments per semester, 2 are group elements. And we do work a lot to make sure you develop the team working skills, and working in teams is important. The type of assessments you'll do range. So some modules will have individual reports. So for example, digital marketing, next year the students are expected to put together a digital marketing strategy for a company. So a company will come in, tell the students about the problems they're facing at the moment, where the company's got to at the moment, where it would like to grow, and the students are expected to put together a digital marketing plan. So outline what they would do, the type of digital marketing, show some examples of the digital marketing perhaps they could use as well, putting together some kind of mock-up actual promotional material, and the lecturer will kind of assess that, and also the company gets involved in the assessment, and it's useful for the company to kind of see examples of this. In terms of other modules, there are some class tests, so there is some kind of tests and exams you will do, but generally they're quite limited. Most of it is quite practical coursework. So I know accounting does have an exam in that one, but most of the other modules will be either an academic kind of essay report and or a practical element as well. Some other modules just to go through then, the international marketing. For that one, you put together an international marketing strategy for a company. So this year, there's been a number of companies who came in and spoke to the students about where they're up to. The students could select one of those companies and put together a plan for them. The students had to select a international market that they weren't currently in and say how they would enter that market and then how they'd measure their success. Consumer behavior, once again, it's a practical project where you get given a client and you're expected to come up with a new consumer group that they could target and how they do that. So there's lots of practical kind of elements to the course in terms of working with local companies to us of all varying sizes. So some of the companies you work with will be very small, some will be international, and looking at live case studies and understanding them. You will still also have assessments that kind of look more at the academic side of stuff, but we try and get the balance between them. But generally, the majority of it is individual work with a couple of group projects per semester, and it's a mix of academic reports and more practical projects. And a lot of the practical projects are kind of live case studies where you do work with a specific company in mind. If you do have questions about any of the taught aspects, any specific modules, if you've got any questions about anything else to do with the delivery or who teaches them, just remember to put the messages in the chat and we'll come back to them in a little while. So that's 2 of the semesters. The other semester that you would have would be a research project. So the research project generally runs for kind of around 3 months, and it's during the summer. So this generally runs from June up until September. Students in marketing have 3 choices for the research project they can do. They can either do a traditional dissertation, they can do an internship, or they can do an academic research project. The traditional dissertation is basically where you individually identify an area of marketing that you're interested in, and you conduct a research study into that. So in the past, students have done a wide range of kind of projects on this. It will generally be something that's kind of, you've been interested in one of the modules. So if you're very interested in digital marketing, you might do a dissertation on that topic. It could be international marketing, it could be analytics, it could be consumer behavior, it could be any of the modules or any specific aspect of that. You identify a area that you want to study, you'll collect some data, and you'll analyze that, and you'll produce a dissertation. At the moment, a dissertation, I think, is around 15 to 17,000 words. It's a big project, but you have the whole summer to work on this. We also, remember, prepare you for this. So you do research methods module, and we get you to do a proposal as part of that module for what your project's going to be. You're also supported with a dissertation supervisor. So they will meet you throughout the summer, give you academic advice, one-to-one advice on what you should be doing. And they tend to review some of your work to kind of help you with the project. But generally, you can do the projects in any area of marketing that you like, and as long as you can kind of collect data on that. Some students as well do desk-based dissertations where they can analyze maybe actual marketing material, company reports, online materials, or they can get secondary data as well. The internship and work-based research project is exclusive to the marketing program, so none of the other management or HR masters at Queen's offer this. It's a specific program that we've developed. This is where you undertake a 12-week paid internship with a company. So the university works with companies. It tends to be Belfast and Northern Irish companies, although we do have some projects in England and some projects in the Republic this year, but most of them tend to be Belfast or Northern Irish companies. The internship companies and the university works to establish a number of them, and there's funding available to help support them, but you're paid to do a job, to work for the company for 12 weeks over the summer. So you'll have a specific project that you'll be working on. It might be working on the company's social media marketing. It might be on working out a new consumer group that they should be targeting. It could be on a wide range of areas, and they're all kind of very specific projects. You do the project, and then you write that up as a action research project. So you still have to do a dissertation report, but it's based on your internship project. Current types of companies, so we've just set up the internships for this year, so they'll be running this summer, and the companies really range in size and kind of types of company as well. So previously we've had PwC have done internship with us. We had a student who went and worked with them last summer, but we also have a lot of smaller businesses. I would say the majority of them tend to be smaller local firms, and one of the reasons for this is one of the reasons we have this program is to try and show a lot of local businesses the benefit of having a marketing expert work within their company. So a lot of our students will be, in some cases, there isn't an existing marketing department. They will go do the internship. They will put together a strategy for the marketing, a marketing plan. They'll actually try some stuff out. So in the internship, you are expected to actually do some marketing and then see the impact of that. So it might be running their social media, coming out with some campaigns. It might be putting together a strategy on how to engage in new types of consumers and actually doing that project as well. We have at the moment, we've had some funding for this program to support smaller companies being able to take on students. And one of the reasons for that is that we want the students, we want the companies to see the benefit of having a master's student. And we have had very good success rate of the companies keeping them on. So a couple of years ago, about 50% of students who went on to an internship went on and continued working for them. So it's a really good kind of initiative, that one. In terms of the number, it is competitive. So I should make that clear that internships are not guaranteed. In terms of the traditional dissertation, or the other option I'm going to come into a minute, you have a choice of which of those you want. You can apply to do an internship, but it's a competitive process. So at the moment, you submit your CV. There's a list of internships that are advertised. You submit your CV. The companies will invite people to interview. They'll interview them and offer them. This year, we have, I think, 80 students on the program. And we've been able to have, it's around kind of 22, 23 who are doing internships. So it's around a quarter of the kind of class who have an internship, but it is a competitive process, and it's kind of important to make that clear. The third option we have is an academic research project. This is slightly different to the ones above. So the traditional dissertation and the internship and work-based research project are very much one large research project that you undertake, whether it's on a topic of your choice and a project of your choice, or an internship. You have to produce quite a significant project. So I've just had a question I've noticed in the chat, which is relevant to the internship. So it says, would students get paid? If yes, how much? So the traditional dissertation, so the internships do get paid at the moment. And I think they get the living wage. It generally, which I cannot remember in the UK exactly how much that is, but they're generally paid. It will be enough to kind of supplement your kind of the work you're doing. And we are keen that we don't have free internships. I think it's important students are paid for those. So I think roughly, I don't want to I can't give an exact figure, but I know it probably works out for the 12 weeks. I think some of them, depending as well, some are full-time and some will be 3 days a week part-time, depending on that. But yeah, they get the living wage, and maybe I can look that up and tell you at the end how much that would be. In terms of the words, at the moment, the internship project is still around 15,000 word reports. It's a large report. Most companies will give you time to do your report whilst you're doing the project. One of the advantages of the internship is that you're collecting data while you're there. So you're pretty much just writing up the project that you're doing. So I had a student last year who worked for a local company, and he was investigating what social media platforms would be most effective for this company to generate customers. So the student produced 3 different strategies, looking at 3 different platforms. So I think it was Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. They actually produced some kind of different types of content for each and analyzed those. So although you're still writing a big report, it's very much based on what you're doing day to day in the project. And he used the data that he'd collected whilst doing the internship to do the report. So the final one, the academic research project, is slightly different in that it kind of breaks up the project into 3 different components. So you do 2 taught modules over the summer. These are currently taught in blocks. You're not, it's not a whole summer semester where you're going to be doing the modules like the other ones. You do contemporary issues in management, and you also do business governance and society. At the moment, these are taught in blocks. So over a couple of week period, you do one, and then a couple of week period, you do the other one. And you're also expected to do a critical literature review. So the critical lit review is around 7,000 words, and it's about similar to the other projects, but you don't go and collect any data. So you'll just look at past research and try and kind of investigate a topic. So it might be looking at, I've got a current student who is looking at social media use in startups, and they're looking at the link between the founder of the company, and their brand. So they're looking very much about how they can develop their own brand using social media. So they're just looking at existing papers to say, well, what do existing papers say on this? It's up to the student which one they pick, apart from the internship, which is competitive. Some students like having the large project. Some prefer the academic research project, where it kind of breaks it down into smaller components. But they all add up to a similar level of work that you need to do for this. And I should say, in terms of a master's, these are fairly standard. So I did a master's many years ago and did a similar type of dissertation. I taught another university, which had a very similar structure to that as well. So, normally you'll have 2 taught semesters, and then you'll have a large project dissertation. For all 3 of them, you'll get an academic supervisor, so a lecturer from within normally marketing will supervise you and give you advice, look at some of your work, and support you through that. You'll notice on the bottom of the slide, I've said, and it's kind of, I have to make this clear, these are the options that are offered at the moment. Obviously, we're not sure what the impact is going to be for the next full academic year in terms of COVID-19, and the type of projects available may need to change, but you would still be doing a project of some sort. At the moment, even with it being an issue at the moment, we have students due to do internships in June. Some companies have already confirmed that they can work for the company remotely. Other companies may be able to open up depending on kind of the lockdown situation. But even this summer, we're still expecting the majority, if not all, internships to go ahead. But it's just to make it clear that, the situation obviously could change. The ability to go and do research, go and interview people might be slightly different. But we are, even for this summer, we're able to kind of make adaptations and make sure students can still do interesting projects and good projects. So one question about internships I've just seen: to the majority of people picked for internship have employment history previously. Not really. And in the marketing field, not really for that as well. One of the things you have to remember as well, when you're going for the internship, generally you will have at least a semester of work that you'll have done. So for example, in terms of your scores in modules, it's more about going for an internship that's really of interest to you. So when you see the adverts for them, they will highlight the kind of key areas they're looking for. So it might be that they're really interested in people who are want to look at social media marketing. We've had some marketing analytics companies, so if that's a topic that's kind of really interest to you, you'd go for that one. So you'll have some marks for your previous modules normally, so you can use those. Most of our students, a lot of our students that we have in the program will have come straight from undergraduate, so they're unlikely to have a huge amount of prior experience. I think what a lot of the internships companies are looking for is just students who just show a real kind of keenness for this kind of topic. We have actually at the moment a lot of we have a few charities who we've helped fund to be able to take internships, who really benefit from getting some marketing expertise. So they're quite often looking for people who can demonstrate they've got an interest in the topic that the charity is looking at. But it's most students are fairly comparable, and most students who've got internships, it's because there was a good link up there. I would also say that because you're showing what the project is and you're interviewed on that, you would be expected to kind of have a think about what you'd do if you got that internship. So a lot of the companies will say, this is the project we're interested in. And when you do the interview, they'll say to you, well, what approach would you take? What do you think you might want to do? So the more research you do on the company, the more thought you put into that, the more chance you have. We have, a really good placements office who deal with the internship process. So if you do decide to, if you do decide to apply for an internship, then they will help you. They put together the job specifications of the companies. They're all fairly similar in terms of structure, expectations. They will help you with CV writing. They will help you with the interview preparation. I also, as program director, we did a session specifically about the internships to go through the students' kind of expectations, what they're thinking about, explaining what you'd be doing while you're there. So, you're given a lot of support, and if you want to do an internship, you have as much chance really as anyone on the program. So that's kind of the content of the master's program. So just to reiterate, you've got 2 semesters where you'll do 4 modules taught each semester, and then the summer you have an individual research project. The onus is on you to do the project, but you have academic kind of supervision and support for that. One of the kind of real benefits of the program is that we are accredited to the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I'll talk briefly about this and then also talk about kind of other aspects of kind of employability and where some of our students have gone and worked for. So by being accredited to the Chartered Institute of Marketing, what this means is that when you graduate, you can go on to gain the Chartered Institute of Marketing certificate in professional marketing, or the Chartered Institute of Marketing diploma in professional marketing, and you can get some exemptions from that. So it doesn't automatically mean that you get these qualifications, but because we're accredited to this course, because the Chartered Institute of Marketing knows that you've covered certain topics within the degree, it means that if you have a Master's of Marketing from Queen's, that you're at a certain level and you can top up that knowledge. So for the certificate in professional marketing, you'll see there the kind of example there, you're exempt from 2 of the key markers. So you don't have to do the marketing or the integrated communications modules, and then you have an optional module that you need to pass one of the following. So you'd only need to do 1 module, online module, and you'd get the certificate in professional marketing. For the diploma, you're exempt from 1. You'd still need to do another 1 to pass, plus the optional 1 as well. And in terms of doing this, it says at the bottom here that basically you need to sign up within 3 years of graduating and completing within 5 years. If you're interested in going down the kind of, obviously becoming a professional in marketing, especially if perhaps you're going to go and work for a larger company in the marketing department, the Chartered Institute of Marketing is a really important body, and it's kind of a sign in terms of professional qualifications that you are at a certain level as a marketing professional. So this is a really kind of good thing. Also, we work with the China Institute of Marketing. They have lots of events, lots of resources online. So once you start the course, you can sign up and join as a student member. You can use their resources. And then once you graduate, you can actually go and get that accreditation. One of the questions I had, which is the part I'm going to talk about in a second, is someone's asked, are there potential opportunities to get employment abroad after the course finishes? Does QUB have options, helps, links for this? In terms of, I'll just say in terms of the internship, we, as well as at the moment, and I should say this is what the current situation is, as well as having the internships that we identify, some students do have very specific companies that would like to work with. So previously we had a student last year who was very interested in the arts and theatre. They went to one of our local theatres and they arranged an internship with them. And they worked with the placement office. The placement office supported this, and we managed also to get some funding to help out the theatre to be able to pay them. We've also had students who are interested in doing internships abroad. So I have had a student, slight issue obviously this summer with getting it to work, but we're trying to look at the options. But they identified a company, they were really interested in working with a company in the Netherlands, and we supported that, enabled that. In terms of when you graduate, specifically, I'll kind of deal with the abroad first then. We do have students who, get jobs in all different fields, and some will go abroad as well. We have, as well as the placements, the university has a careers department. We work very closely with them. So as you get towards the kind of summer end of your course, there are lots of resources that you can use there. As Catherine mentioned at the start as well, we also have the graduate school. So they will offer support as well. They also have some kind of professional kind of training that you can do to help make you more employable. But, and I would also say if you have a very specific aim for when you look to graduate, then, we will help you with that. So in other programs, for example, we have an international business program, undergraduate, and students will go into an individual international placement. The placements office, I'm sure, would be able to help, in terms of if they know companies who are employed in those areas. And generally, if a student kind of identifies that they'd like a certain type of internship, or they're really interested in a certain type of graduate opportunity, we will help them kind of, in order to do that. In terms of general kind of employability on the program, students from this program go and do quite a wide range of jobs. So some students who've done internships do stay on with their internship company. And we've seen quite a large number of students do that, which is great. And that's part of that's part of the kind of aim of this program. We have students who will go into large companies, part of the kind of graduate marketing scheme, and I think the marketing masters really kind of gives an edge to students applying for that, especially for students maybe done quite a general undergraduate degree. Maybe having this, if they want to go and become a marketing professional, can be really great. In terms of the other options, we have a lot of students who, we do have some students actually, and I'm, as well as program director for marketing, I'm my main area is lecture of entrepreneurship, and I look at a lot of kind of entrepreneurial things, entrepreneurial marketing. We have some students who are interested in starting their own business. And I have, increasingly open days, have students who say, I'm looking at starting my own business, not really ready to start now. Do you think the kind of, master in marketing will give me some good, starting place for that? And I think the program's really great for that. It will help you understand who your potential customers are, how to develop new products, how to come up with a good strategy. So, if you want to go and work for a large company, this will give you a really good starting place to get, in the door. It's a really, the fact that it's accredited to Chartered Institute of Marketing will help with that. Equally, if you want to go and work for a startup, if you want to go and start your own business, this will give you a good understanding of that as well. We have students who have got jobs locally in small companies and large companies in the Republic. So, I know some of my students who I supervised last year and worked with last year have gone and got jobs down in Dublin, in London, all over. And obviously, we have a lot of international students. Some of those will go back home and get jobs there, but we equally have home students who will get jobs internationally as well. I think one of the kind of key benefits of this is that it gives you the kind of mix of a good understanding of what marketing is, but has some very specific aspects like the digital aspect, like the marketing analytics, that can really be kind of key strengths in there. And as I said, that's one of the reasons we've made these modules kind of core, because we think they're really key kind of employability factors for that. I have a question here that I'll try and address. How possible is it that the first semester, at least, of the new academic year will be taught online, according to your opinion and the available data up to now? I have no clear answer for that. Obviously, we're going to be following guidance from kind of, the government, and I think as soon as we have that, it will be outlined. I would say, like, in terms of my understanding, at least from conversations I've had, is that, if there is a need for the first semester to be taught online, there would still be kind of a live element of that. So, we wouldn't be looking to switch degree completely, that you would just download everything, have no contact with us. I've had to do some online teaching at the very last minute because of all of this in the last semester before Easter. And, there was still that kind of live face-to-face aspect, although it was obviously through mediums like this. So if it does happen, in terms of the actual kind of projects you do, we would be looking at that wouldn't be a huge issue. If you're working in groups, I use an online group management tool. Students work on that throughout the year. I check in with them online at the moment. So, I've been using tools like that, and we'll be increasingly using tools in that way anyway. But I don't know if Catherine can say anything more about when you might hear. But, as soon as, that whatever the approach we're going to take is done, it will be communicated with you. And I would say as well, if you have specific issues or questions related to that when that information comes out, my email address is on the website and contact details. You can kind of contact me. And I think they're at the start of the slide as well for that. So yeah, that's kind of the end of my content. It's always, I've done this in person, obviously as it goes on a bit longer because I have more interaction, but hopefully that's given you a good understanding of kind of the structure of the course, what some of the modules are, especially that kind of summer option of the 3 choices you might have. I'll go on to the next slide. I'm going to pass over to Catherine now, but if you have questions, type them up, and at the end we'll kind of come back to them.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, so I just wanted to take a few minutes to explain the entry requirements and then talk a little bit about the scholarships that are currently still available for the next intake. So for entry into the marketing program, it's normally a 2-1 honours degree in an equivalent qualification acceptable to the university in any discipline. So that really means that we accept students with any sort of an academic background, as long as you have an undergraduate honours degree and you meet the 2-1 entry requirement. So we do have students from a wide range of backgrounds in the class. We may also consider candidates who have a high 2-2 honours degree and some relevant experience, but these applications would be considered on a case-by-case basis. So if you're not sure if you're eligible, or you think you may be a borderline case in terms of entry, do get in touch with us. I'm just going to write my email address into the chat box now. So if anybody has any questions that relate specifically to your own personal situation, just send me an email and tell me a little bit more about your background, what your undergraduate course is, and any relevant experience you might have, and I'll be able to help advise whether you would be eligible to apply for the programme. Adam, if you want to skip on to the next slide, and I'll talk about the scholarships. Thank you. So we are still accepting applications for the incoming intake. So I just wanted to explain the scholarships and funding that we still have available. So for international students, we have 3 different funding options that range from partial scholarships to full scholarships. So we have the Queen's Management School Postgrad Scholarship. So we have 400 awards of £1,000 that are available to applicants holding an offer when they pay their deposit of at least £400 before the 31st of May. So that deadline was initially at the end of April, and we have extended it just due to the current situation to give more people an opportunity to avail of that. And we also have an early bird reward, so you would receive an additional 10% discount on gross fees if you pay 90% of the fees by September, this September. So again, that was initially a June deadline, but again, we have extended that just so that it can be can remain available to more students. And then finally, we have the Vice Chancellor's International Attainment Scholarships. So this is our only full fee scholarship for international students. And the deadline to apply, though, is the 12th of May. So if you haven't already submitted an application for that, I would recommend you do so as soon as possible. In order to be eligible, you need to hold an offer for a start, and you must have accepted your offer, but it doesn't matter if it's a conditional or an unconditional, you can still apply. So if you haven't applied already and you're really considering applying for that scholarship, then I would recommend you submit your application as soon as possible, and even get in touch with me so I can even try and see if we can get your offer made on time, as normally we would have a 2 to 3 week turnaround on your offer. And then for domestic students, so we have the tuition fee loan available. That's offered from the Department for the Economy. So that's similar to the undergraduate loan. So any local students, a lot of local students avail of the tuition fee loans that are available for undergraduate students, and this is similar for postgraduate study, and there's an amount of up to 5,500 available for that. Now I see we have a couple of questions regarding to the loans. So Yanis, if you are a domestic fee paying student, so from Northern Ireland or the United Kingdom, then you can apply for the tuition fee loan. You can find more information about that on our website. There's a page around funding. So you can go there. It's also listed on the student finance page. So applications normally open for that around June. And Megan, the marketing program costs more than the loan provided. Is there anywhere for us to apply for more funding to cover? So the university, so the fees are 7,000 for the Masters of Marketing program for local students. As the tuition fee loan only covers up to 5,500, students would be expected to be able to fulfill the rest of that amount themselves. So we don't offer any additional funding. However, you may be able to just access, a personal loan if you weren't able to, come up with the funds yourself. So we don't have any additional funding options available, unfortunately. So that's really the end of my section, just on entry requirements and scholarships. So we'll take more general questions now. I see Tori has one here. So with masters, can you only accept an offer from one university, or can you accept multiple and then decline the ones you don't want to go? Decline the ones you don't want to go on. So yeah. Oh, thanks, Gemma, for sharing the link to the loans. Yeah, Tori, so you can apply for as many courses as you want for postgraduate study. It's different from UCAS, so where you don't have to select a certain amount of courses. You can apply to as many universities as you want. You can also apply to multiple courses with Queen's. And we normally encourage you to accept your offer as soon as possible. And then you can go ahead and decline other options. But yeah, you aren't restricted in terms of the amount of applications you can accept or offers that you can accept. So I hope that helps.
If I can just add in just for the question in terms of kind of I guess from a funding perspective, from kind of some of my current students, I know for anyone, a domestic student, the student loan for undergraduate is very different. So that will cover kind of, a lot of the living costs. So as I mentioned, in terms of employment, a lot of our students, will work part-time because, you're not getting funding in the same way that you would as an undergraduate. So although I said, in terms of, I wouldn't recommend, I think working full-time would be very difficult. A lot of my current students do work part-time. And also remember that the taught aspect is, 10 weeks per semester as well. So a lot of students will work around the course as well, whether that's evenings, the day they're not taught, some afternoons and that kind of thing as well. As long as you're getting the balance right and you're not working too much, most of the students find that they can kind of, make enough money to cover their living costs they might have while studying as well.
Okay, well, if we don't have any further questions, then we'll finish up the webinar for now then. Just a reminder that it has been recorded and I will share the link with everyone. Thanks, Adam, for sharing your email address. So you can contact either myself or Adam if you have more questions. And again, I'll share the link with everyone so you can rewatch any of the content in your own time. But thank you very much for joining, and hopefully we'll welcome some of you to Queen's very soon.